My name is Dan Scoggins. I'm an organizer with SEIU Local 26. On Saturday, April 22nd, we had a presentation with about 30 people talking about retirement. We're getting a retirement for janitors and security officers. And we talked about what is a pension, what is a 401k plan, what are advantages to both. In this PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to break that down so I can put this on the internet and share this with more people who were unable to go to the meeting. Here we go. So, when we retire, you will live on Social Security. Social Security is around 45% of what you make. What I did was I went to the Social Security calculator on the Social Security website, put in how much income I last made as a security officer, just for an example, and then calculated backwards, assuming I made $18.50 an hour. And basically, Social Security is going to pay me when I retire as if I made $8 an hour. So if I'm having a little trouble living on $18.50 an hour as a security officer, imagine making $8 per hour. Now, this is all about retiring at 67. If you retire early, you will make less, significantly less. If you retire at 62, you will get less Social Security. We need a full retirement. 70% of workers in the United States have access to some kind of retirement plan. 50% participate. Now, of course, that means 30% of workers don't have access to a retirement plan, which includes most of our janitorial team. And of the people who have access to a plan, 51% participate. And then when I look at security officers, very few of us participated in the retirement plan because there was no matching and no profit sharing. So janitors and security, it's far less than 50% of us have any kind of retirement. And just remember that the bosses have a retirement. You know, I love my picture here of Leonardo DiCaprio presenting a champagne glass as if he's a boss and asking a security officer, what about your retirement? Because my retirement will be amazing. And meanwhile, my wallet is empty. What is a pension? Well, the best way to explain a pension is to say it's a contract. A pension is basically an agreement with the company to pay the SEIU fund, so the fund will pay you each month after you retire a certain amount, a contract. The SEIU fund invests in the stock market, real estate, income funds. If the SEIU fund loses money, they are still responsible to pay you. That's a contract, so you're guaranteed a benefit. At this point, the plan for a pension would be that the company would pay in 100%. That's what pensions normally are. You pay nothing. And this, of course, means that every member benefits. Every single janitor or security officer in the pension who qualifies would start to accrue pension funds for the future. And since this is a contract, there can be special benefits, things like disability pay, retirement, early retirement, spouse benefits, death benefits. Early retirement, of course, will pay you quite a bit less. Spouse benefits affect how much you get paid out, but it's a continuing benefit for as long as you live because it's a contract. So if the company pays 50 cents an hour into the pension, this is what you'll receive. Basically, after 5 years of work, and say you retire at 65, you would be eligible for $63 a month on top of your Social Security. And let's just say you work 25 years in this pension, 50 cents an hour the company's putting in, you get $393.75 per month. Pretty good. On top of Social Security. This could be life changing. That's a good amount of money for food and for housing. Now, of course, we expect that as the years go by, we'll negotiate more than 50 cents. Maybe every few contracts will add to the pension. Hypothetically, had the company put in $1 an hour for your 20 years or 25 years, you would get $787.50 per month. The more the company puts in, the more that you'll get when you retire. And so this is kind of important to understand that each contract we're going to ask for more money to try to get you a better deal on this pension. Now, pensions, because they're contracts, are insured by the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. This is a federal created corporation that sort of backstops pensions. If a pension falls short, extra assessments are made of current members or the payouts can be reduced. You can still lose money in theory if a plan fails. However, there's regulations in place and structures in place to keep pensions from failing. Currently, the SEIU pension fund is charging all members about 45% additional to make up losses from around 2009, from years ago. So we will need 45% extra from the employers on top of, say, the 50 cents or a dollar that we bargained for to compensate for the past for pension losses. But this is how a pension works. So what is a 401k? A 401k is an investment fund. That's the best way to explain it. So you pick different funds. Once your money gets into the fund, you can pick different stock funds or bond funds to invest in. So you direct your investments. It's a defined contribution plan. The bosses contribute, but there's no contract. No one knows how much you will have later. That depends on the markets and how you invest the money and how much you save on top of what the company gives you. Companies can match what you save. Hypothetically, if you put in $1,000, the company could put in $500. That'd be a 50% match. If you put in zero, you will get zero. That's what's very important to hear about matching. If you can't save a lot of money, you're probably going to have a smaller 401k kind of plan. Now, one of the secrets of a 401k that I found out was that rich people, the truly rich and affluent, have something called profit sharing. It's basically an employer contribution without a match. Rich people get this employer contribution without a match, and maybe we should too. I think we should too. The company puts in money without a match. You know, when you make 18 bucks an hour and you can barely pay your rent, we really want to see the companies put in the most amount of money. But that's just a secret that we have to make sure we're watching. Take care. Now, in a 401k, since it's an investment vehicle with matching and things like that, I thought I'd break down a couple different examples of how a 401k could work. If you were to save 3% and the company matched your 3% with another 3%, here's how that would work. And you can assume that you would have 5 years of money save money for 5 years to get the equivalent of a pension's 5 years of vesting. Let's just say you retire and you plan on 20 years or 240 months of payments. You basically could get a monthly benefit similar to a pension of 7140, pretty similar. However, notice that this costs you 3%, 1,200 a year out of your money to make that match work. That's 1,200 less dollars you have to spend on rent and food. What if you live more than 20 years? That's a huge issue because a pension is a contract and it pays out until you're 99 or you're dead. And a 401k will run out of money at a certain point because there's no backstop. It's just the money you've saved. And of course, what if the stock market doesn't return the 5% per year that I assumed to make this calculation? By the way, from 1930s to the 1960s, the stock market was almost flat. So we're making an assumption the stock market's going to continue to grow at about 5% a year, which is actually a pretty good average. So you have to realize there's some serious assumptions in a 401k. Let's continue. If the company saved the 3% and there was no matching, saving you the $1,200, notice that the problem here is that the amount of money drops significantly. So your monthly benefit, if the company was saving 3% for you, is about $35 a month for 5 years of vesting. $308, about half of what it would be because we're putting in less money. You and I aren't adding our money to the company's money. Now, 3% an hour is 56 cents per hour, very similar to the 50 cents used in the example in the pension. But notice that your net is less money per month. In other words, if we just told the company to give us 3%, we'd actually make less money than the pension would make, which is kind of a surprise. Anyway, let's go to the next scene. So, what if you were to be able to save 10% and the company matched 3%? This is where 401ks start to look really interesting, at least positive anyway. Basically, for me, we'll just say hypothetically that putting in 10% would be $4,000. If I put in $4,000, then I would, of course, see pretty good monthly benefits. Notice the problem, though. At $18 an hour, I have to find a way to save $4,000. I can't keep saying that enough. That the problem with the 401k is it takes a lot of your money now. We make less money because we participate in our 401k. We make the money back later, but I have to spend today's dollars for my retirement future. Let's go down to the second chart. And what if the company put in 10% of our pay without a match? Here's where it starts to get kind of interesting. Basically, as you can see, the 5-year 20-year 5% thing works out to be $119 a month because the company's putting in a lot more. And why is this important? Well, let's just say for whatever reason we can't make a pension work, the bargaining team, who really is the one who makes these decisions. When I say we, I mean you, members who come to the bargaining, and a decision is made to take a 401k for whatever reason. We really need to ask for a lot of money to make that 401k work. Like this 10% you see in this example. A pension, should be maybe 14 or 15% as well. So it gives you an idea that how much we really need to ask for to make this 401k thing work. Now, if you were to look at the advantages of the pros and cons of both the 401k and pension, here would be some of these, and I'm going to have to look at my other screen so I can actually read these a little better. For the pension, for example, the company pays the full amount. So it doesn't tax the money you and I have for the future. The company pays everything. It has other side benefits like survivor benefits for a spouse, disability payments if, God forbid, you get injured and you have to retire early. There's some flexible options there that don't exist in the 401k. It's a guaranteed contract, a guaranteed benefit. Whatever you have been promised, you're supposed to be paid at the end of the time. It's not like a 401k where you really don't know exactly how much money the stock market's going to make. You're supposed to be guaranteed money. I found out that we in our contract, if you're an experienced security officer or janitor, you'll be vested after 3 years, not 5. So the vesting's a little quicker than originally you would expect. Every member will be part of the pension plan. That's really huge for me as an organizer. My dream is to see every security officer, every janitor have a pension, as opposed to a 401k where you have to sign up for it, and not everybody probably will. Here's some cons, though. Companies hate defined benefit plans. It's a huge unfunded liability. They're worried about having to pay later. So companies really don't like pensions. It's a very long-term thing, and they don't like that. Currently, our pension has a 45% rehabilitation charge. So it shows the pension works, but any money I get from the company is going to have another 45% added to it to pay for the losses of the past to make sure that contract works for the previous members. Another thing is you can't really save more in the 401k. You can't contribute to it like you can. So if you wanted to contribute to a 401k, you could and add more money. But the solution here, frankly, is to get an individual retirement account, another type of investment vehicle. If you really want to save additional money, get an IRA. So it can be done. And what about a 401k? Well, the pro is, of course, the company matches whatever you save, so you can actually save more money, which is kind of positive if you really have a drive to save a lot of money for your retirement. We can ask the company to give money without a match, that profit sharing or contribution, employer contribution to our fund. We can ask them for more money without a match. A 401k is easier to transfer to another company. Your pension will not transfer. So you can transfer your 401k to a new company if you get a job with a different company. And by the way, we'd have to do that if we switched security companies or janitor companies. Some cons of the 401k are pretty obvious. If the stock market doesn't do well, you could lose some money. The payments are not guaranteed. You really don't know exactly how much you're going to retire with. Your investment fund options are frequently going to be limited by the companies, the vendor they pick to do the 401k. In other words, you may not be able to pick the most glorified, crazy investment funds. You're probably going to pick very conservative ones, and they're limited. The options are limited by the company that provides the 401k to the security company or janitor company. Another thing that hurts my feelings is, once again, that many members won't participate. And that means they won't get any benefit. If you don't sign up for that 401k, if you don't participate in that match, you don't end up with a lot of retirement. Unless we get that employer contribution. But the truth is the 401k is probably not going to pay every single member. Now, when I corresponded with the SEIU fund directors and employees, I guess, they sent me some very interesting information. They sent me a very current Vanguard article from the Vanguard Viewpoints newsletter from March of 23, just this month, last month. Matching or non-matching contributions, 95% of 401ks, the company is either matching or not matching, but they're putting in contributions. For my security officer friends, we're in the 5% where we have a plan and no matching and no contribution. We're in that 5%, which is pretty embarrassing, but it's important to mention to the bosses, you provide us a 401k and we're in that 5% where nobody gives us any money. Now, in terms of this survey that Vanguard did, 85% plans include matching. So in other words, most plans have matching, and that's a good thing. In other words, you save some money, the company matches it. Non-matching contributions are also common, however. 46% of plans in their survey had non-matching contributions. They dump cash into your fund without a match. This is something I think we really want if we get stuck with a 401k. So back to this employer contribution thing. The average employer match in 2021 was 4.4% of pay. So you can see the matches can be pretty generous. Average non-matching value was 5.1%. This is all kind of good for benchmarking if we want to go back to the companies and say we want you to give us non-matching money of 5% or 10%. Employer contributions averaged in the 4 to 5% range. That was the total cost of the employer on the things they surveyed. Now, of course, we want to be above average. Why be below average? We basically make less money. We don't have as much to save. We should be asking for more than 5% from the employers. So let's talk. At this point, when we were in the meeting on Saturday, we broke into small groups. But before we did, we gave everybody some questions, and I'm going to pose these same questions to you, whoever you are that's viewing this incredible, interesting PowerPoint. What if we need to negotiate the bosses and they refuse to give us a pension? What if we can't? We go on strike, we do whatever we can do. We can't get that pension, so we have to get a 401k. What do you think of that? What are our priorities in bargaining? Is it more of a priority for us that every member gets some benefit? Or is it more that we target the people who want to save for retirement so they get a better deal? One of my favorite questions is, would this be worth going on strike for? And I have to tell you, I think it should be, because this is a human right. Social Security is not going to be enough to make you have a good life when you retire. What is your retirement going to be like? Well, why should your retirement be any worse than the boss's? We should all be able to retire and be able to pay for our apartments and houses, be able maybe to do a little travel to see our families, to eat well, to be clothed, to live well until we pass away. It's basically a justice issue. So at this point, I'm going to say if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Dan Scoggins is my name, and I'm dscoggins@seiu26.org. I'll try to put that in the comments. We asked other people to write down questions, and we captured some of their questions too. So at this point, I'm going to end the presentation, but my challenge to you, security officer or janitor, is to talk with your coworkers about this. It's very important that we all talk with our coworkers so we generate that buzz, we generate that expectation, we create the drive necessary. And by the way, of the members who attended, about 21 people promised to talk to their coworkers. They said they talked to 180 coworkers. And if some of those coworkers talk to more coworkers, you can kind of see how this works. When we go to bargaining in the fall, we're going to select a bargaining team. We practice open bargaining. The bargaining team makes decisions, not the SEIU. And the members who show up get to voice their opinion when the bosses step out of the room. In janitor meetings, I've seen upwards of 150 janitors just watching and enjoying the meeting. And security meetings, I've seen closer to 25. But I'd love to see us have a huge crowd of choir there, basically, watching what the bosses actually say so you can see it for yourself and see what the union asks for yourself and represent the needs you have for yourself and your family. If you don't participate, it doesn't work. When a lot of people participate, if the union is a union, then it works great. And I look forward to seeing you as we have this survey this summer. We have a couple of meetings this fall, including one on October 7th at the Mall of America with other unions who will be going on strike at the same time we'll be bargaining. And also, really need you to come to those bargaining meetings. You are important.